The morning sun rose over New Pyongyang like any other morning. Stood on the balcony of the administration building, watching the golden light spread across the wheat fields. The colony had been his home for 15 years now. 50,000 people called this place home. They had built something good here, something peaceful. His daughter was already awake, working in her lab across the settlement. She studied the local plants and animals, always excited about some new discovery, smiled thinking about her. She loved this world more than Earth itself. In the military compound on the eastern edge of the colony, Commander Park was drinking his morning coffee when the alarms went off. His screen lit up with warnings. Ships were coming out of hyperspace. Big ships. He set down his cup and pulled up the scanner data. Unknown vessels entering orbit, his officer reported. Count is 12 capital ships, sir. Felt his stomach tighten. The colony had no weapons that could fight ships like that. They had a few patrol boats, some defensive turrets. Nothing that mattered against a real fleet. Try to contact them, ordered, all frequencies. They sent messages in every language humanity knew. They sent mathematical sequences. They sent simple greetings. The ships didn't answer. They just moved into position above the colony. Saw the ships from his balcony. Everyone did. Massive dark shapes blocking out the sun. People stopped working in the fields. They looked up at the sky. Some of them started running. All citizens, this is Administrator, spoke into the colony-wide channel. His voice stayed calm even though his hands shook. Please move to the emergency shelters in an orderly fashion. This is not a drill. The first shot came without warning. A beam of purple light struck the northern residential district. The explosion threw off his feet. When he looked up, an entire neighborhood was gone. Just gone. Smoke and fire marked where 3,000 people had lived. Watched his screens in horror as more shots fell from the sky. The aliens were targeting the biggest buildings, the places where most people gathered. His training took over. All units begin evacuation to underground shelters. Move everyone you can. Go now. His soldiers scattered across the colony, pushing people toward the old mining tunnels beneath the surface. Himself ran toward the school where his wife worked. He had to get her out. The aliens landed their own ships then. Huge metal craft that touched down in the fields and opened their sides. Things came out. They walked on two legs like humans, but they were taller, covered in gray skin that looked like armor. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. Was trying to save her research when the lab exploded around her. The blast threw her through a wall. She lay in the rubble, unable to move, watching the aliens walk through the settlement. They weren't soldiers clearing a battlefield. They were hunters gathering prey. She watched them drag her out of hiding. She watched them load human bodies into containers on their ships. Living and dead, they took everyone they found. Tried to scream, but no sound came out. She couldn't move. She could only watch. Got 2,000 people into the mining tunnels before the aliens found them. The fighting was brief and brutal. His soldiers had rifles that barely scratched the alien armor. The aliens had weapons that turned humans into ash. Watched his men die buying seconds for civilians to run deeper into the tunnels. He made it into the deepest shaft with a handful of soldiers and about 1,000 civilians. They sealed the entrance and waited in the darkness, listening to the screams from above grow quiet. Minyu was an engineer who maintained the colony's power systems. He had been in a deep maintenance tunnel when the attack started. He gathered 12 other people who had been working underground. They found a collapsed section of the old mines and hid there. Through a crack in the rocks, they could see the surface. They watched the aliens work for hours. The creatures were efficient. They collected human bodies like farmers harvesting crops. They set up large machines that scanned the ground, looking for survivors hiding below. Sora Lee was a medic who had been thrown into a crater by an explosion. She lay among the dead, pretending to be one of them. The aliens walked past her 3 times. Each time she held her breath until her lungs burned. On the third pass, one alien stopped. It looked at her with eyes that had no feeling in them. Then it moved on. She wasn't worth collecting. She was too broken. When night fell, the aliens returned to their ships. They positioned their vessels in orbit and fired again. This time, they used different weapons. The beams turned sand into glass. They burned so hot that stone melted. The aliens were erasing the colony from existence. Minyu knew they were destroying evidence. He had to do something. In the wreckage of the maintenance tunnel, he found parts of a communications array. Working through the night with shaking hands, he built a transmitter. It was weak. It could barely reach orbit, but maybe, just maybe, it could bounce a signal off the satellites and reach the relay station in the next system. He recorded everything: the attack, the harvest, the genocide. He added every scan his makeshift equipment could capture of the alien ships. Then he sent it all, repeating the message over and over. "This is New Pyongyang. We are under attack. 50,000 dead. The aliens came without warning. They're harvesting our people. Send help, please. Remember us." The aliens detected his transmission. They fired on the tunnel. The rocks collapsed. Minyu and his group ran deeper, crawling through spaces barely wide enough for a human. Behind them, the tunnel filled with fire and molten rock. 15 people survived that night. They huddled in the darkness, wounded and terrified. Above them, the aliens continued their work. They took everything valuable. Then they left. The ships rose from the planet and fired one last time. The orbital strikes turned the entire colony site into a field of glass. Nothing remained. No buildings. No bodies. No evidence except the message that Minyu had sent into the dark. Sora dug herself out of the rubble 3 days later. She stood on a hill of broken glass that had once been her home. The wind blew across the dead world. She fell to her knees and cried, not because she had survived, but because 47,000 others had not. Far away, past the edge of explored space, Earth Defense Command received a message. It was weak and broken, but the words were clear. An admiral watched the footage from New Pyongyang. He watched the aliens harvest humans like animals. He watched a colony die. He picked up his phone. "Wake up the Security Council, all of them, right now." The aliens had made their first mistake. They had left survivors to tell the story. They would soon learn their second mistake. They had attacked humanity thinking we were weak. They had no idea what they had awakened. The footage played on every screen across Earth. News channels showed it. Government buildings displayed it. People watched in their homes, in public squares, and offices. They watched 50,000 humans die in 4 hours. They watched the aliens take bodies like cargo. They watched a world burn. The United Earth government met in emergency session. Representatives from every nation filled the chamber. There was no debate about whether to act. The only question was how hard to hit back. Ambassador Shin stood at the podium. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were hard as steel. 47,000 civilians, children, teachers, farmers, murdered without warning, without reason, without mercy. What do we do? The chamber was silent for 3 seconds. Then every representative stood, every hand raised in agreement. War, total war. Fleet Admiral Han received his orders within the hour. He was given command of every military ship humanity could fly. No restrictions, no limits. His mission was simple: find the aliens and make them pay. Stood in the command center looking at the star map. He had fought in the colony conflicts. He had commanded fleets in the asteroid wars. But this was different. This wasn't about territory or resources. This was about survival, about showing the galaxy that humanity could not be hunted. "Get me every ship," he told his staff. "I don't care if it's military or civilian. If it can fly and carry a weapon, I want it." The mobilization began immediately. The Korean Republic Space Force sent its, the Fury. China provided 3 dreadnoughts and 40 destroyers. The American Federation contributed 2 carrier groups. Europe sent its stealth fleet. Africa provided marines and fighter wings. Every nation that had ever fought each other now united behind one purpose. Captain Nam reported to this fury and took command. She was young for a captain, only 35, but she had earned her rank in combat. She looked at her new ship and felt the weight of what was coming. This vessel would carry 5,000 crew and 100 fighters. They would all follow her into hell if she asked. Captain commanded a very different ship. The Silent Vengeance was a stealth destroyer, designed to hunt without being seen, was quiet and patient. He had spent 10 years learning how to hide a ship in space. Now he would use those skills to track an enemy that thought itself safe. Wing Commander assembled her fighter squadron in the launch bay. She walked between the rows of pilots, all of them young and scared and trying not to show it. "Listen up," she told them. "Those aliens killed our people. They think we're weak. When we find them, we're going to show them what humans do to monsters. Stay tight, follow orders, and we all come home. Understood?" "Yes, Commander," they shouted back. Ground Commander Ryu prepared his Marines for something different. They wouldn't be defending. They would be attacking. His soldiers trained for boarding actions, for fighting inside alien ships, for taking ground on hostile worlds. Was a hard man who had grown up in the slums of Seoul. He had fought his way into the military and up through the ranks. He knew how to hurt an enemy where they were weakest. The survivors from New Pyongyang were brought to Earth, 15 people out of 50,000. They were treated in hospitals, but their real value was information. Admiral interviewed them personally. Minyu sat across from the Admiral, his hands still bandaged from building the transmitter. "I got scans of their ships," he said. "Their shields pulse at regular intervals. There's a gap, maybe half a second, but it's there." "Half a second," repeated. "That's enough, what else?" Sora Lee provided medical data. She had been a trauma surgeon before the attack. "I saw their bodies up close. The gray skin is natural armor, but they have joints just like we do. Knees, elbows, necks. They can be killed." Park, who had lost his wife and most of his command, had tactical information. "They're arrogant. They didn't scout. They didn't check for defenses. They just attacked because they assumed we couldn't fight back. Use that." Absorbed everything. He built a picture of the enemy, strong but overconfident, advanced but predictable. They had never faced real resistance. That would be their weakness. The fleet assembled in Earth orbit, 175 warships. It was the largest military force humanity had ever created. The ships hung in space like a metal storm waiting to break. Every crew member knew what they were about to do. Some would not come back, but they went anyway. Admiral addressed the fleet from the bridge of his flagship. His face appeared on every screen in every ship. "We are not going to defend ourselves. We are not going to negotiate. We are going to find the creatures that killed our people, and we are going to destroy them, not because we are cruel, but because we must show the galaxy what happens when you attack humanity. No mercy, no prisoners, no hesitation. They wanted to see if we were prey. Let's show them what predators look like." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, 175 ships moving as one. Behind them, Earth watched and waited. Across the planet, people gathered in churches, temples, mosques. They prayed for their soldiers. They prayed for justice. Some prayed for mercy. But mercy was not on the fleet's agenda. Captain took the Silent Vengeance ahead of the main fleet. 5 stealth destroyers slipped through space like shadows, moving toward the last known position of the alien ships. Their mission was simple: find the enemy and don't be seen. It took them 3 days. They found a patrol route near a dead star system. 6 alien ships moving in formation. Watched them for 12 hours, recording everything. The way they moved. The way they scanned space. The way they completely ignored their rear sensors because they never expected to be followed. "They're heading back to their territory," sensor officer reported. "They're using a regular route, no deviations." "Follow them," ordered. "Stay 2 light towers behind, they'll lead us home." The stealth ships became ghosts. They followed the alien patrol through 4 more systems. Each jump brought them deeper into unknown space. Each system showed signs of the aliens, destroyed planets, dead worlds. This species had done this before, many times. Back with the main fleet prepared her crew for combat. She ran drills constantly, gunnery practice, shield management, damage control. Her crew worked until they could execute maneuvers in their sleep. When the fighting started, muscle memory would keep them alive. Drilled her pilots just as hard. They flew mock combat missions for 8 hours every day. Fighter tactics, bombing runs, escape maneuvers. She pushed them past exhaustion because exhausted people made mistakes, and mistakes in space meant death. Marines practiced boarding actions in a mock-up of what they thought alien ships looked like. They learned to fight in zero gravity. They learned to use explosives in pressurized spaces. They learned to kill efficiently and move on. After 2 weeks, sent a tight beam transmission to the fleet. Found them, transmitting coordinates now. It's big, real big. Admiral looked at the data. The alien home territory contained 18 star systems, 17 colonies, and one massive with a fleet of 400 ships defending it. Shin sent one message to the alien on all frequencies. It was simple. You have 48 hours to surrender unconditionally. Reject this, and we will show you why humanity does not forgive genocide. The aliens transmitted back. Their response was played in the command center. It was laughter, cruel, mocking laughter. Then a message. You are primitives, you are prey. We will harvest your Earth next. Admiral listened to the message. Then he smiled. It was not a kind smile. Well, he said quietly, they've made their choice. Captain Nam, prepare the fleet for combat operations. Commander Ryu, get your Marines ready. Commander, arm all fighters. Captain, you know what to do. Sir asked, what are our rules of engagement? Looked at her, his eyes were cold. There are no rules, hit them with everything. Burn their worlds, sink their ships. Show them what happens when they make humans angry. We're not here to fight a war. We're here to teach the galaxy a lesson. The fleet moved forward, 175 ships accelerating toward enemy territory. Behind them, the stealth ships prepared to strike first. Ahead of them, the aliens waited, confident and arrogant. They had no idea what was coming. The alien supply convoy never saw it coming. 12 cargo ships moved through the asteroid field near a gas giant, completely unaware they were being watched. Captain had positioned his stealth destroyers 3 days ago, waiting for exactly this moment. All ships spoke calmly into his comm. Target locks confirmed. Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. 20 magnetic rail guns fired at once. The projectiles moved at a fraction of light speed. The alien ships had shields, but shields needed time to detect threats and activate. Time they didn't have. The first volley tore through 6 ships before they could react. The surviving aliens tried to scatter. They broadcasted distress signals. They powered up weapons. None of it mattered. The second volley came 15 seconds later, then the third. In 4 minutes, 12 alien cargo ships were debris floating in space. Checked his sensors. Any escape pods? Negative, sir. All targets destroyed. Good. Retrieve any intact cargo containers. I want to know what they were carrying. Then we move to the next target. The stealth fleet had been hunting for 3 weeks now. They hit supply lines. They destroyed communication relays. They attacked mining operations. The aliens still didn't know humans had entered their territory. They just knew their ships were disappearing. Meanwhile, the main human fleet moved carefully through the outer systems. Admiral had divided his forces into hunting groups. Each group consisted of 20 to 30 ships, enough to overwhelm most targets but small enough to move quickly. Captain Nam commanded Battle Group 3. Her orders were to find and destroy any alien military presence in the border systems. She found an alien listening post orbiting a frozen moon. The The station had 30 crew and light defenses. "This is Captain Nam of the Earth Defense Force," she transmitted to the station. "You have 60 seconds to abandon your post." The aliens didn't respond. They powered up their weapons instead, counted to 60, then nodded to her weapons officer. This Fury fired a single missile. The station's shields flickered on, but the missile didn't explode on contact. It punched through the shield during that half-second gap Minu had identified. The explosion cracked the station in half. "Any survivors?" asked. "Sensors show one lifeboat launching, Captain." "Let it go. I want them to report what they saw." The lifeboat fled toward the inner systems. Inside, the sole surviving alien transmitted a frantic message. "Humans, they're here. They're attacking, there." The message was picked up by alien military command. They didn't believe it at first. Humans were primitives. Humans didn't have ships that could travel this far or weapons that could break their shields. But the reports kept coming. Ships missing. Stations destroyed. Colonies going silent. Commander Ryu got his chance when Battle Group 5 found an alien military outpost on a barren planet. The outpost housed 500 soldiers and served as a logistics hub. Admiral wanted it taken, not destroyed. "There might be intelligence inside," explained. "Prisoners, data cores, something we can use. Take your Marines and secure it." Grinned, "Yes, sir." The assault began at dawn. Fighters screamed out of the sky, suppressing the outpost's anti-air defenses. The aliens scrambled to fight back, but the human fighters were faster and more coordinated. They worked in pairs, one drawing fire while the other struck. Under the cover of the air assault, Marines dropped in landing pods. The pods hit the ground hard, and soldiers poured out with rifles ready. The aliens rushed to defend their base. The fighting was brutal and close. Kicked down a door and came face to face with an alien soldier. The creature was taller than him, covered in that gray armored skin. It raised its energy weapon, was faster. 3 shots to the joints, 2 to the neck. The alien fell. "Keep moving," shouted, "clear every room." The Marines fought through the outpost for 2 hours. They used grenades to clear bunkers. They used breaching charges to open sealed doors. The aliens fought hard, but they had never faced soldiers like these. Humans who trained for this. Humans who wanted revenge. When the fighting ended, stood in the command center with 50 prisoners kneeling on the floor. His Marines had suffered 12 casualties, 3 dead, 9 wounded. The aliens had lost 450. "Secure the data systems," ordered. "Download everything." Then, he looked at the alien prisoners. "Bring me the commander." An alien was pushed forward. It was bigger than the others, with markings on its armor that suggested rank. Stood in front of it and pulled out a welding torch. "You speak our language?" asked. The alien said nothing. "That's fine," activated the torch. "You're going to take a message to your leaders. I'm going to write it on your walls so you don't forget." He burned words into the metal walls of the command center. Letters 2 feet tall, written in the alien language that Minu had helped translate. The message was simple. "You harvested our people. Now we harvest worlds." Left 1 alien alive in the outpost. The rest were executed. The survivor was given a working transmitter and left to report what had happened. The psychological impact would be worth more than another dead alien. The message spread through alien space like a virus. The creatures that had attacked New Pyongyang were called the. They had controlled 17 colony worlds for 200 years. They had wiped out 6 other species. They had never lost a battle. Now they were losing battles every day. Their ships disappeared. Their outposts fell silent. Their colonies sent desperate messages asking for protection. And always there were reports of human ships, fast ships, deadly ships, ships that didn't negotiate or accept surrender. The government finally acknowledged the threat. They mobilized their home fleet, 400 warships, the pride of their empire. They would crush these humans and remind the galaxy who ruled this region of space. But they needed to find the humans first, and that was proving difficult. Engineer Minu sat in the intelligence center of the human flagship, analyzing captured data. He had become an unofficial technical advisor to the fleet. His understanding of technology had saved lives. Now he was trying to find something even more valuable. "Got it," Minu said suddenly. "Admiral, I found there." Walked over to look at the screen. "You're sure?" "The navigation data is clear. Prime, it's here." Minu pointed to a star system deep in space. 17 colonies surround it. The sits in the center like a spider in a web. "Study the map. What's the population?" "Prime has 12 billion inhabitants. The colonies have maybe 5 billion total." "And their fleet?" "Splitting up. They're trying to defend multiple targets at once. They're spreading thin." Smiled. "Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted them to do." Ambassador Shin had been trying to contact other species in this region of space. She sent messages to anyone who might listen. "We are humanity. They attacked our people. We are not conquerors. We are only here to punish genocide. Stay out of our way and we will not harm you." Some species responded. Most had been victims of the at some point. They shared intelligence. They revealed weaknesses. They quietly cheered for the humans to succeed. One species, a race of traders, sent a message directly to, "They have harvested 17 species before you. They take what they want. They believe all others are inferior. If you do not stop them here, they will come to your Earth eventually. Finish this." Shared the message with Admiral. "We will," promised, "but first we make them feel what we felt." He transmitted a message to the. It was sent on all frequencies, impossible to miss. The message was simple and direct. "You have 48 hours to surrender unconditionally. Disarm your fleet. Submit to human authority. Reject this, and we will demonstrate why humanity does not forgive genocide." The council received the message. They gathered in their chambers and watched the transmission. Then they laughed, actually laughed. These primitives were threatening them, they who had conquered 17 worlds. The council sent back their response. "You are insects, you are food. We will harvest your Earth and everyone on it. Come and die." In the command center of the human flagship, Admiral listened to the response. He didn't look angry, he looked satisfied. "Good," he said quietly. "I was hoping they'd say that." He turned to his staff. "Signal all battle groups. Begin Phase 2. Target their colonies. Burn every world except the. When they're isolated and alone, then we strike the heart." Captain Nam looked at her orders. "Sir, we're attacking civilian populations." "No," corrected. "We're attacking military infrastructure, food production, manufacturing, power generation, anything that supports their war machine. We'll give each colony 10 minutes to evacuate civilians. After that, anything left is a legitimate target." "And if they don't evacuate?" asked. His face was stone. "Then they share the fate they gave to New Pyongyang. They chose this. They started this. We're going to finish it." The human fleet split into attack groups. Each group targeted a different colony world. The colonies never stood a chance. The first colony to burn was 7. It was an industrial world, home to 3 million and dozens of factories that built their warships. Captain Nam brought Battle Group 3 out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. "This is the Earth Defense Force," transmitted to the planet. "You have 10 minutes to evacuate all civilians from military and industrial targets. After that, we will begin bombardment. This is your only warning." The defenders on the planet scrambled. Some thought it was a bluff. Others tried to lock weapons onto the human ships. The smart ones started loading civilians onto transports. Counted down the minutes. When the timer hit 0, she gave the order. "All ships open fire." 50 missiles launched from the human fleet. They weren't nuclear weapons. They didn't need to be. Kinetic missiles moving at incredible speed hit with the force of small bombs. The first wave struck the shipyards. Metal factories exploded into fire. Construction docks collapsed into the ocean. The second wave hit power plants. The third wave destroyed manufacturing centers. The fourth wave took out the spaceport. In 30 minutes, Seven's industrial capacity was reduced to smoke and rubble. Status asked. All primary targets destroyed, Captain. The colony can no longer support military operations. Move to the next target. Across space, the same scene played out 16 more times. Human battle groups appeared without warning. They gave brief warnings. Then they methodically destroyed everything that made a colony useful to the war effort. 9 tried to fight back. Their defense fleet of 20 ships engaged Battle Group 6. The battle was short. Human ships used coordinated tactics, targeting multiple enemies at once. They exploited the shield gaps. They used superior sensors to hit from long range. In 40 minutes, all 20 ships were destroyed. The human fleet lost 3 destroyers. The colony surrendered immediately after. The humans accepted the surrender but destroyed the military infrastructure anyway. "We're not here to occupy," Admiral explained when some of his officers questioned the tactic. "We're here to ensure they can never threaten anyone again. Burn it all." 12 put up the strongest resistance. They had hidden defense platforms in the asteroid belt. When Battle Group 4 entered the system, the platforms opened fire. 2 human destroyers were hit before they could react. 1 exploded. The other limped away with hull breaches. Captain's stealth ships had been waiting for exactly this. They had mapped the defense platforms 3 days ago. Now they moved silently through the asteroid field, placing charges on each platform. "All charges placed," reported, "detonating now." 20 explosions lit up the asteroid field. The hidden platforms were gone. Battle Group 4 moved in and finished the job. Wing Commander led the strike on 5. The colony had strong anti-air defenses. Fighters couldn't operate near the surface, so changed tactics. "Listen up," she told her squadron. "We're not going low. We're going to draw their fire and keep them busy while the big guns work." 200 fighters swarmed the upper atmosphere. They flew patterns designed to make the defense computers track them. Below, the automated cannons fired endlessly, trying to hit the fast-moving targets. While the defenses focused on the fighters, the human capital ships moved into position and fired from orbit. The defense installations were destroyed before they realized the fighters were just bait. Lost 20 fighters in the operation. She visited each pilot's family later through video calls. She told them their sons and daughters had died protecting others. She didn't tell them it was also revenge. She didn't need to. They already knew. Commander Ryu's Marines were sent to capture a research facility on Colony 14. Intelligence suggested the facility held important data about other species that had attacked. The assault was quick. Soldiers dropped from orbit in stealth pods. They landed at night and breached the facility before the defenders could organize. The fighting inside was room by room, brutal and close. Found what they came for: computer cores filled with data, medical experiments, genetic harvesting, records of 23 different species. Some were extinct, others were enslaved. They had been doing this for 500 years. "Copy everything," ordered. "Then burn the facility, leave nothing." One of his Marines found holding cells. Inside were creatures from other species, living prisoners being used for experiments. They were barely alive. Medics did what they could, but most were too far gone. "Get them on a transport," said quietly. "Send them to the medical ships and document everything. The galaxy needs to see what these creatures are." The evidence was transmitted back to Earth and shared with every species humanity had contacted. The reaction was immediate. Species that had stayed neutral now offered support. Trade routes opened to human ships. Intelligence was shared freely. They realized too late that they had made themselves the galaxy's enemy. Their isolation was complete. 6 weeks into the campaign, 16 of 17 colonies were burning or occupied. The home fleet had been split into pieces trying to defend everything. They had lost over 300 ships in dozens of small battles. The human fleet had lost 42 ships, but Earth was already sending replacements. Admiral studied the tactical map. Prime sat alone now, cut off from its colonies. The home fleet had maybe 90 ships left, all pulled back to defend the. "They're trapped," his tactical officer observed. "Good," said, "now we tighten the noose." He sent one final message to Prime. "Surrender now, or we will ensure they are remembered only as a cautionary tale. This is your last chance." The council met in emergency session. They screamed at each other. Some wanted to surrender. Others refused to show weakness to primitives. The one, they would fight to the end. "We are," their leader declared. "We have conquered 17 worlds. We will not bow to these animals. Prepare the defenses. We will make them bleed for every meter of ground." The response was transmitted to the human fleet. It was defiant. It was proud. It was exactly what Admiral expected. "They've made their choice," said Captain Nam. "Prepare the fleet for assault. Commander, ready all fighter wings. Commander Ryu, get your Marines prepared for ground operations. Captain, I need your stealth ships to clear us a path." The human fleet began to gather. 140 ships remained from the original force. They assembled at the edge of Prime's system. Behind them, supply ships brought ammunition and fuel. Medical vessels waited to receive casualties. Minyu worked around the clock analyzing Prime's defenses, orbital weapons platforms, mine fields, defense satellites, shield generators on the surface. The planet was a fortress. "They've pulled everything back to protect the," Minyu reported. "It's going to be a hard fight." "How hard?" asked. Minyu hesitated. 50% casualties, maybe more. The Admiral nodded. "Acceptable. What do we need to do?" "Take out the orbital platforms first, then suppress the ground-based defenses, then we can assault the surface." "What about the civilian population?" 12 billion on that planet, sir." Was quiet for a moment. "Transmit evacuation orders. Tell civilians to leave the major cities. We're targeting government and military facilities only. Give them 24 hours. Some civilians evacuated. Most didn't. They either didn't believe the warning or they had nowhere to go. The government ordered people to stay in the cities. They wanted to use their own civilians as shields. Shin sent a personal message to the council. "You're using your own people as hostages. Evacuate the cities. We will not hesitate to fire on military targets regardless of civilian presence. Their blood will be on your hands, not ours." The council ignored the message. They fortified the cities instead. Military bases were built next to hospitals. Command centers were placed under schools. They believed the humans would hesitate. They were wrong. Admiral addressed his fleet one final time before the assault. "We didn't start this war. We didn't want this war, but they killed our people. They harvested humans like animals. They refused every chance for peace. Now we end this. Some of you will not survive the next battle, but your sacrifice will ensure this never happens again. For New Pyongyang, for humanity, attack." The human fleet jumped into Prime's system. The final battle had begun. Alarms screamed across the. 12 billion people looked up at their sky and saw death arriving. The human fleet came out of hyperspace in attack formation, weapons already charged. "All ships," commanded, "execute assault plan. Show them what happens when you hunt humanity." The tide of burning steel fell upon Prime like judgment itself. The aliens had sown the wind. Now they would reap the whirlwind. The battle for Prime began with fire from heaven. The human fleet came out of hyperspace already shooting. The first targets were the orbital defense platforms circling the planet like a crown of thorns. Captain's stealth destroyers had been hiding in the system for 3 days. They had placed tracking beacons on every platform. Now those beacons guided missiles to their targets. 20 platforms exploded before they could react. But there were 200 more platforms, and they all opened fire at once. The sky above Prime lit up with weapons fire. Energy beams crossed with missiles. The space between the planet and the human fleet became a storm of death. Captain Nam commanded this fury into the heart of that storm. Her took hit after hit on its shields. The shield generators screamed warnings. Hull sections reported damage, but kept her ship moving forward. "Return fire," she ordered calmly. "Target the closest platforms, continuous barrage." This fury had 12 rail guns. All 12 fired in sequence, creating a rhythm of destruction. Each shot took seconds to charge. Each shot destroyed a platform, counted the targets falling. "Shields at 40%, her engineer shouted. "Hold course," responded. Around her, the human fleet was taking losses. 3 destroyers exploded. A cruiser lost power and drifted, still taking fire. But for every human ship damaged, 5 platforms died. The humans had come prepared to pay the price. The home fleet finally arrived. 90 warships dropped out of hyperspace behind the human fleet, attempting to trap them against the orbital defenses. It was a good strategy. It might have worked against a lesser enemy. Admiral had expected it. Battle Group 7, break off and engage the enemy fleet. Everyone else, keep hitting those platforms. 30 human ships turned to face 90 vessels. The math was bad, but the humans had something that didn't. They had trained together. They had fought together. They knew exactly how to kill ships. The fleets met in a clash of fire and steel. Ships died on both sides. They fought with desperation. The humans fought with cold precision. Every shot was calculated. Every maneuver was practiced. The human ships worked in pairs, one drawing fire while the other struck. Wing Commander led 500 fighters into the battle. The fighters were tiny compared to the warships, but they were fast and deadly. Squadrons specialized in bomber runs. They carried missiles designed to punch through ship hulls. "All wings follow me," called, "Target the big one." The flagship was twice the size of any human ship. It was their command vessel, coordinating the defense. Led her fighters straight at it. The flagship's point defense systems opened fire. Fighters exploded. Saw 20 of her pilots die in seconds. "Don't stop," she screamed, "for New Pyongyang." The remaining fighters punched through the defensive fire. They released their missiles at point-blank range. 50 missiles hit the flagship's engines. The massive ship shuddered. Its power flickered. Then its reactor went critical. The explosion was like a new sun being born. The flagship died, taking 3 nearby ships with it. The fleet lost coordination. Ships started making individual decisions instead of working together. That was their death sentence. Pulled her fighter away from the explosion. Half her squadron was gone, but the flagship was destroyed. She allowed herself one moment of satisfaction before returning to the fight. On the ground, Commander Ryu waited for his moment. 10,000 Marines sat in assault ships, watching the space battle through screens. They were waiting for the orbital defenses to fall. Then they would drop. "Commander," his pilot reported, "orbital space is clear. You're good to go." "All units," ordered, "begin landing operations." 500 assault ships fell from orbit. The ground defenses opened fire immediately. Anti-air missiles streaked up from the surface. 24 assault ships were hit and fell burning, but most made it through. The ships landed in the outskirts of the capital city. Marines poured out, establishing defensive positions. The military came to meet them. What followed was the largest ground battle in human history. Led from the front, his rifle barked in 3-round bursts. Soldiers fell. His Marines advanced behind him, moving from cover to cover. The fighting was block by block, building by building. "Push forward," shouted. We take the government district before nightfall. They fought hard. They used their size and strength advantages in close combat, but the humans used tactics and teamwork. When a soldier charged, human soldiers created crossfire that cut them down. When defenders fortified a position, human engineers used explosives to bring down the building. The battle raged for hours, lost hundreds of Marines, but they kept advancing. They had never faced soldiers like this. Humans who didn't break, humans who kept coming no matter how many died. Above the planet, the space battle was ending. The home fleet was down to 30 ships. The human fleet had lost 28 vessels but still had over 100 operational. The orbital platforms were gone. They had lost. Admiral gave the final order. All ships, begin orbital bombardment of military targets. I want every government building, every military base, every command center turned to rubble. Avoid civilian areas where possible, but military targets are priority. Fire. The bombardment began. Beams of energy and kinetic missiles fell from space. The government district exploded into fire. Military bases were vaporized. The aliens' command structure collapsed. On the ground, fought his way to the council chambers. His Marines breached the building with explosives. Inside, soldiers made a final stand. The fighting was brutal. Took an energy blast to the shoulder but kept moving. His Marines pushed through room by room. They found the council in a bunker beneath the chambers. 12 aliens in ceremonial robes, the leaders of an empire that had destroyed 23 species. They looked at with eyes full of fear and hate. "You are under arrest for genocide," said in their language. "You will face justice." One council member tried to reach for a weapon, shot him. Anyone else? The rest surrendered. They were dragged out of the bunker and brought to the surface. Admiral arrived by shuttle. He wanted to see this moment personally. Stood before the council in the ruins of their capital. Around them, the city burned. Millions were dead. The empire was broken, and the admiral felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "You killed 47,000 humans without warning," said. "You harvested our people like crops. You refused every chance for peace. You laughed at our warnings. Now look at your world. This is what happens when you hunt humanity." The head council member spoke in broken English. "You are monsters. You killed billions." "No," corrected. "We gave warnings. We offered evacuations. You used your own people as shields. We are not monsters. We are humans, and humans do not forget genocide." He turned to, "Execute them, all of them. Let it be recorded. Let every species in the galaxy see what happens to those who commit genocide against humanity." The executions were broadcast across every frequency. The council died in front of the ruins of their civilization. Their empire fell in a single day. But Admiral wasn't finished. He transmitted a message that would reach every corner of the galaxy. "This is Fleet Admiral Han of Earth. The Dominion harvested our people. They believed us weak. Let this be known to all who watch. Humanity does not forgive genocide. We do not forget massacres. Attack us without cause, and we will burn your worlds until nothing remains but a warning to others. They made one mistake. They thought we were prey. We are predators who chose peace. They forced us to remember what we are." The message was heard across 1,000 worlds. Species that had never heard of humans now knew the name. Some were terrified. Others were grateful. The species that had enslaved cheered. Their oppressors were gone. In the weeks after the battle, humanity began the occupation. They were not exterminated, had refused to commit genocide even against, but the empire was dismantled completely. Their military was dissolved. Their weapons were destroyed. The 17 colony worlds were liberated. The species that had enslaved were given independence and Earth's protection. They was placed under human oversight. They would never threaten anyone again. Shin spent months negotiating treaties. 32 species signed defensive pacts with Earth. A new council was formed to prevent future genocides. Humanity became a major power in galactic politics overnight. Captain Nam was promoted to admiral. She took command of the new border fleet, ensuring that threats never reached human worlds again. Captain continued commanding stealth operations. His ships watched the galaxy's dark corners, hunting threats before they could grow. Wing Commander received Earth's highest military honor. She trained the next generation of pilots, teaching them that skill and sacrifice could overcome any odds. Commander Ryu established a new training program called the Never Again Protocol. It taught soldiers how to fight genocidal enemies, how to be ruthless when mercy would only cause more death. Minyu and Sora Lee returned to New Pyongyang. The colony was being rebuilt. They married among the ruins and vowed to help resurrect what was lost. The memorial was finished 2 years after the war. 47,000 names carved in black stone on a hill overlooking the rebuilt colony. Every year, survivors and soldiers returned to remember. Admiral Han stood at the memorial on the 5th anniversary. He was older now. The war had aged him. He placed his hand on the stone and found his name among the thousands. "We did it," he said quietly. "We made sure it never happens again. The galaxy learned. Attack humanity and there is no place far enough to hide. Kill our people and we will find you, we will judge you, and we will ensure you never threaten anyone again." He looked out at the rebuilt colony. Families lived here now. Children played in the fields. Life had returned. But the black stone remained as a reminder. Humanity would never forget. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, the story was told. The story of the massacre at New Pyongyang. The story of Earth's response. The story of the who thought humans were prey. Species warned their children, never provoke humanity. They are slow to anger but absolute in vengeance. They don't conquer. They only punish those who cross the line. And they learned too late that humanity's mercy is a gift, not a weakness. The massacre was this first mistake. Not fearing Earth's response was their last. In the halls of the Galactic Council, a new saying emerged. When discussions turned to war, to invasion, to genocide, someone would always say, remember what happens when you make humans angry." And the room would fall silent, because everyone remembered. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity stopped being prey and reminded everyone what apex predators look like when you threaten their young. Earth had spoken, the message was clear, and the galaxy listened.